And welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man X. This video is probably going to be the most definitive proof that I am the worst person to be able to beat this game reliably. Now, as you saw there, I used the Fire Wave to get the heart upgrade that I missed in Chill Penguin stage. Now, if I were going with the trend of getting all of the armor upgrades, I would be going to, you know what, it's Sting Chameleon. But, before we get to that, we're going to Kuwanger stage. Basically, my reasoning here is that if I defeated Kuwanger first, I would get a weapon that would make Sting Chameleon's stage a hell of a lot easier. This was faulty reasoning on my part, because I'm not very good at this game, unfortunately. Now, in an attempt to defend myself, part of the reason is that I'm playing on a keyboard, and it's kind of awkward to play Mega Man X that way. However, some of it is just really, wow, I was doing really awful here. Now, the reason I went to Kuwanger first is because I thought that it would make Sting Chameleon stage much less tedious. In the end, it didn't really end up doing much, and I would have probably been better off just going there first. But, oh well. Now, before we continue, I'd like to address something. It's Sting Chameleon. Not Spine, not Spike, Sting. I don't know why I was getting that wrong. Anywho, we've got trip lasers here. Trip them, lasers fire at you. A pretty simple concept. These turtle robots aren't really that threatening. They deploy little bombs at you. Just hit them with a charge shot, and then a few more pellets will take them down. So, yeah, the reason I picked Kuwanger stage is because I was under the mistaken assumption that it would make Sting Chameleon stage way easier. It really didn't do much. In fact, it ended up just being worse for me, because I know that I can beat Sting Chameleon fairly easily without his weakness, which is what you get for beating Kuwanger. Oh, something comes up here. Since I was, after hit invincibility, the spikes didn't kill me. Those spikes are instant kill, I believe. Though not that it would really matter, since it's crushing death anyways. But yeah, I was planning to use Kuwanger's weapon, because firstly, it would make the boss fight easier, which in the end, due to the wonkiness of how the weapon works, it didn't really do all that much. And I was under the mistaken assumption that I could use it to make a certain fight in that stage a lot easier. As it turns out, it's a lot more trickier than it looks to actually use Kuwanger's weapon effective in that scenario. So I ended up just failing miserably. This particular part was kind of annoying and shows off how bad I am at the platforming in this game. Though again, if I am allowed to defend myself without sounding like a total bitch, I am playing this on a keyboard, and it can be awkward sometimes, because keyboards cannot register more than 2 buttons at once, so if I try to hold a charge shot and then do a dash jump, it doesn't work. Here was a moment on my part. I could have just climbed up the ladder after killing that stupid lizard, but I didn't think to it until jumping into these extending platforms a million times. These things are also slightly annoying, since if you're not quick to the draw, you will always get hit by those turrets that pop out. Luckily, most of them can be easily skipped. The game only forces you into using a few of them to get your footing. Now, up here, there is a heart upgrade. Now, it is actually possible to do a jump to get up there and get the upgrade. However, it is not easy, and I've only seen it done in a tool-assisted run, so I'm going to assume that it's impossible for the average human to pull off. The way you can get it is you can use Kuwanger's weapon, which happens to be able to retrieve items at a distance, which is pretty handy. In fact, it's downright necessary for a few upgrades, including that one. This section's mildly annoying. I have no idea what the hell was hitting me there. I think the propeller on the bottom of the platform hit me. I have no idea. I know the second hit came because I was standing in the turret while my invincibility ran out. And because I am a murderous psychopath, rather than just let this thing live, I decided to blow it up. I could have even just left it, but no. Anyways, Kuwanger. Now, to be honest with you, I think Boomer Kuwanger is pretty easy. He's pathetically so if you have his weakness, like most X-bosses. But, there is one thing you have to watch out for, especially since I don't have the armor, which I could have gotten if I did Sting Chameleon first. You have to watch out for this. That really hurts, and if he grabs you, there is nothing you can do except watch as he tosses X around like a bitch. So, now that that happened, let's cut to the successful reel. It was kind of lame, too. I had another attempt before this where I was doing pretty good, but at the last second I jumped down and he teleported right on top of me and killed me. And he had like one block of health left. I was actually fairly certain I was going to lose this attempt, but I managed to pull it off in the end. So yeah, Boomer Kuwanger does one of three things. He'll charge at you, he'll teleport around and attempt to grab you, or he'll throw his boomerang. So Boomer Kuwanger is one of the more memorable Mavericks just because of his name. Apparently he's some type of beetle, although I'm not exactly sure what he's based off. If someone in the comments could tell me what Boomer Kuwanger is based off other than a boomerang, it would be gladly appreciated. I don't know why I was getting Sting Chameleon's name so confused. I guess he's just not that memorable of a Maverick. Hey, as you can see, Boomer Kuwanger's kicking my ass pretty hard, even though I think he's relatively easy. Though I have to say, I managed to win the fight with this much health left, so I think that's fairly meritable in its own right. Now, if you do have his weakness, Boomer Kuwanger is one of those Mavericks that just becomes a complete joke with it. However, without that, and without the final armor upgrade, he's modestly challenging, although not very much. So if you've been keeping track, our armor upgrades so far are the helmet, the arm cannons, and the leg boosters. So obviously the last piece of armor is the body armor, as you've probably figured since I kept saying armor. Oh, here's Boomer Kuwanger's weapon, the boomerang cutter. Like I said, it's not a very practical weapon because it does that, where it tends to circle around targets if you're not firing it right in front of them. But it can retrieve items from a distance, which is pretty much the extent of its use, or at least what you'll be using it for most often. However, it is also Sting Chameleon's weakness, so you'll be using it here too if you have it. Since Sting Chameleon isn't particularly a tough Maverick, but the boomerang cutter makes him much less of a headache. He is fairly easy to beat if you just have the Mega Buster, though. Now, when we see the armor, it actually has one of the more useful effects, or at least one that anyone can use easily. And we'll see what it is when we actually get it. Although, since it's armor, you can probably infer what it might do. Anyways, Sting Chameleon's level is fairly easy, as it's pretty light on platforming. I mean, I think that's the only instance of an instant death pit there. And towards the end of it, you get a ride armor, which basically allows you to just go straight to the end if you don't feel like dealing with the rest of the level. Now, here, if you wall kick up here, this guy shows up. This robot is a pain in the ass. Not because he's particularly tough or particularly dangerous or anything, it's just he takes a lot of hits. He can be hit in two places, either his head or his underside. But, even knowing that, or, well, his underside you usually can't hit. There are ways, but it's generally just more worthwhile to go for his head. Even knowing directly where you have to hit him, he still takes forever because he's just got a lot of health. Here I figure I may as well use the Tornado Storm since I can hit multiple times on a single shot and I don't have to charge it. Unfortunately, I'm pretty bad at timing the jumps sometimes and end up hitting him in the chest even though it looks like it's hitting him in the head. And occasionally I just jump right into his claw like a dumbass. I'm one of those people who can play games fairly competently when nobody is looking, but when the pressure's on to record it, suddenly all semblance of skill just goes out the window. That might have been my problem with the Ninja Gaiden games, really. So yeah, apart from the fact that this guy has a lot of health, He's pretty easy, but it's still one of the most boring fights in the game. Because he has a lot of health. It takes a while to kill him. Of course, once he starts smoking, that means he's like, I think a little over half dead. But, to spoil it right now, I end up using all of my Tornado Storm ammo trying to beat this guy. Because, towards the end, I just get some really crappy shots off. Tornado Storm is one of those weapons that recording softwares hate, since it usually blinks in and out of existence whenever it's fired. I've seen this happen in pretty much most Mega Man X videos that I've seen. Oh well. This guy is irritating, but the reward you get is worth it, so you can tough it out, and the payoff will totally be great. There's where I wall kick off the wall and start jumping into his claw. It was so epic I had to do it twice, and if you notice, I shot the Storm Tornado right over his head there. Or is it Tornado Storm? I forget. Storm Eagle's weapon, whatever. Anyways, he's dead. Upon defeating that mini-boss, capsule from Dr. Light. Anyways, he just tells us what this armor does. Reduces damage by a whopping 50%. So everything is half as effective against you now. But this isn't reason to get careless, because if you just let everything hit you, obviously you're going to die. Relatively quick too, because things are fairly aggressive in this game. Now for whatever reason, an invisible wall stays there until a set amount of time passes. I guess since most pieces of armor have or most upgrades have a demonstration, they couldn't really figure out how to program around that, so they just had to have the downtime for a demonstration of something that you really can't demonstrate. The armor really only gets its demonstration when put into action against real scenarios. As you can see, the fully charged Buster can have the tendency to make the game lag if there's too many things going on at once. If you didn't kill that robot, it would be dropping rocks on you. You wouldn't see it, but rocks would be coming down from the ceiling because it's stamping the floor. Anyways, we're drawing on the end of this level. Take this guy out real quick, and extra life. It'll mitigate the damage that was done by Boomer Kuwanger. Anywho, ride armor, so I basically said, fuck it, I have everything I want for this level, and just made a complete bum rush to the exit, getting hit by everything. To be honest with you, fighting other robots and ride armors basically amounts to trading blows with each other. If you're quick, you can usually get in all the hits in before they get in one. Anywho, we're at Sting Chameleons. Took in a hit there, but it didn't make a bit of difference, really. Anywho, Boomerang Cutter. This is Sting Chameleon's weakness, but due to the rather awkward firing patterns of this weapon, I actually missed quite a few times, to the point where I may have done just as well if I just used the Mega Buster. The Boomerang Cutter does have one practical application, though. When you hit him with it, it interrupts his attacking phase and causes him to jump to a different one. Occasionally, you'll get him to alternate between the same attack just on a different side of the room, like this. Now, this is what I'm talking about with the Boomerang Cutter's awkward firing pattern, where it occasionally can just go right past the enemy. Another irritating thing about it is that if you jump with it, it will fire downward instead of upward. So if you try to jump and fire it directly at Sting Chameleon, it will just end up going underneath him. But, despite this, I still managed to beat him after this next shot. Oh, God, this is so annoying. Now, I don't know why, but on Z-SNES, whenever this guy went invisible, he made a really annoying noise, but on SNES 9X, he doesn't. Weird. Seriously? Both of those went around him. Okay, so after that rather embarrassing fight, Sting Chameleon goes down. Now, Sting Chameleon's weapon is basically a three-way spread shot, except it's not very useful. In fact, it's pretty much only good against Storm Eagle, since it takes off large chunks of his health. Otherwise, you can pretty much forget about it. Though it does have one practical application. when you charge it up, it actually makes you temporarily invincible, which is practical in a few situations. That's it for this session of Mega Man X. Until next time, see ya.